game changer and has the potential to have a really big influence on the way we do development. But the way we tend to see that playing out at the moment is still very much in a transactional type of way. So in Bangladesh, even just this last week, the government was able to send text messages to farmers in the low-lying regions in advance of the tropical storm, which fortunately didn't have as much impact as we thought it might. But it mobilised hundreds of thousands of people away from flood-prone areas and mobilised all sorts of medical workers to be prepared in a worst-case scenario. We're also seeing in Bangladesh community health workers using mobile phone to refer women in difficulty in childbirth much more quickly to get services. But what we're not doing yet is doing the kind of big picture reforms from a government point of view that might make use of technology much more transformational. So if I just dream for a moment, I thought there's 3 examples I've come across just recently where technology could be used much more effectively. So one example would be in Bangladesh, we're working on the National Social Welfare Program. At the moment, the government wastes a lot of money on 54 different programs of social safety nets. But if they rationalised that system and made some social safety nets much more universally available to everybody, you can imagine a possible world where parents were paid a particular voucher or an amount of money for school attendance. So the first time a child is enrolled at school, on their mobile phone, they swipe the thing at the arrival of school and they get a certain amount of credit on a mobile phone, which they can use and trade to do other things. That would bypass many layers of government, many opportunities for inefficiency, mismanagement and corruption, and actually create a really dynamic link between the citizen and the state much more quickly and dynamically. In Nepal, for example, another opportunity would be where 30% of 30% of GDP, the economy, is driven by remittances from overseas. Wouldn't it be fantastic if local communities in their households had access to that money being earned immediately? So through PayPal on the internet or through some sort of mobile phone credit system, we created incentives for the private sector to provide goods and services to the poor people in the village so that they can actually spend that money on goods and services that they need, and the whole value chain and market-driven supply chain reacts to that availability of finance at the local level. And a third example would be in a conservation area in the low-lying areas of Bangladesh. The technology is available right now through a university group in Tasmania to place sensors in conservation areas to track the amount of different wildlife and bird calls to actually know how much to balance conservation interests in that area with forestry interests and community interests, and for government to make decisions about how much tree felling should be allowed, how much use of water resources should be allowed, and to actually trade the benefits of conservation on the global market in terms of carbon credits. So that technology is all available, but we're not using any of it to do any of those things at the moment. But it requires really significant policy changes within governments. And that's something that the Australian government could be much more actively involved in.